Well, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful that you've agreed to share your story with us. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And I thought it would be great for us just to start at the beginning, Nancy, and get to know you a bit. Have you always lived in the UK? Were you born here or were you born somewhere else?
No, I was born in a very hot place. I was born in Kenya, in a place called Nyeri. Now, Nyeri is famous for one thing. It's the place where the current queen was visiting, then Princess Elizabeth, when she first heard the news that her father, the king, had died, and she was to be queen. So in one sense, you can say, we gave you your queen.
Wonderful. So that was the town where you grew up,
Yeah.
Nyeri in Kenya. And because I think some of us probably haven't visited Kenya, I've just got a few pictures that hopefully will appear on your screen now. There is Kenya in Africa, and in Kenya there is Nyeri in the middle, where you were born, Nancy, and where the Queen was visiting. And I've also got a picture there which might show the kind of countryside that you saw growing up. And here is a picture of you with your family. And tell us, what was it like growing up in Nyeri?
So I had a happy childhood. As you can see, I was born in a big family. Not everybody's in that picture. And I had many friends as well, especially in primary school. So I was happy. I have some very good memories.
Wonderful. Well, Nancy, we're particularly interested in hearing how it is that you came to know Jesus personally. And so I wanted to ask, at that stage of your life, when you were the child in that picture, would you have called yourself a Christian then? Were you a Christian?
Well, I don't think I would, but this is what I remember growing up. My mother went to church, and sometimes I would go along with her. Sometimes I would go to Sunday school, which was attached to the local primary school. And I remember I loved singing. I remember, that's one of the things I enjoyed doing. And another thing I remember, as a family, we loved Christmas. So we would celebrate Christmas. And what I remember knowing then was that it was about Jesus being born, but I couldn't tell you more than that.
Okay. And at that stage, did you read the Bible and pray when you were a child growing up?
Again, when I was in primary school, at one point, every child was gifted a small Bible, and I got one, and I was so excited about it. But I don't remember reading it. I just remember being so excited, just at the prospect of receiving a gift. I would only pray, maybe if I'm in problems or I'm in trouble. Yeah, that's what I remember.
Okay. And then I know that when you were 21, you moved from Kenya and came to Barnet to live with your cousins. Mm-hmm. And what was that like for you, moving to the UK?
So as you can imagine, I was so excited at the prospect of going to the land, of the Queen. And so I was, happy. But obviously when I arrived, things were, different. It was hard because it's a new country. I don't have friends. I didn't know my way around. So not so easy initially. But with time, I went to college, so I started making friends. And then over another period of time, I started working. And also over another period of time, I got into a relationship, and out of it, I had a baby.
And that's your daughter, Faith, who I think is 11 now, is that right?
Yeah, yes, she is.
Yeah. So what was it at that time, Nancy, that made you begin to think again about God?
Yeah, so as you just remember when I was talking about my family, so we would do certain things as a family. One of the things that used to happen is when you're born, as a child, you're baptized. And so I wanted to keep up with that tradition. And so I got in touch with a local church and I arranged for that to happen for Faith. And so Faith was baptized, but I can't really say that I understood, what that was all about. Yeah.
So you had Faith baptized, and then what? How did things go in your life at that time? What was happening?
So soon after, things didn't quite work out. The relationship broke down. And to me, that was like the worst thing at that point, because most of you who are listening to me probably know, when such a thing happens, there are a lot of other things that comes along with it, like having to leave your home, finances, and, a lot of problems. So I remember at that point wondering, where God, if God was there, if he could help me, if he could, hear me, but I didn't think that, I wanted to know God for myself, but I was just thinking, God, I really need you to sort out this problem that I have right now. Yeah.
Okay. So you were beginning to have these questions, but maybe not finding the answers at that stage.
Yeah.
And what happened? What helped you to begin to find the answers?
So what helped me, so we moved on. We started living, just me and Faith, and started life again. And Faith started school. And when Faith was in reception, I remember hearing about a holiday club, which was happening locally by Lansdowne Church. And I signed Faith up for that. And the thing that I remember so much is that the very first day I picked Faith up from the club, even before we were a few meters away, it's just seeing the excitement on her face. And she was so bubbly, and she started telling me, Mommy, do you know the Bible is all about Jesus? Do you know, Jesus died on the cross? Mommy, do you know you're a sinner? I'm a sinner. And she wouldn't stop. And then, when we came to the end of it, at the end of that week, on the Friday, when I picked her up again, she said, Mommy, I really need you to take me to church this Sunday. And I just looked at her and I said, Faith, I will take you only this once, and that's it.
Just once. Well, I know it wasn't just once. You started coming then regularly to church.
Yeah.
And how were you feeling about it? Faith was loving it, but how were you feeling as you began to hear the message for yourself?
So what happened is, initially when I, started going there, I started looking at the Bible with two other ladies. And I remember being so offended, because as we were doing it, there was this talk about people being true Christians, and a lot of talk about sin. And I didn't like that at all, because remember, I thought, I'm a Christian, so why are you talking about people being true Christians?
Okay. So you were quite offended initially, but you kept coming. Faith kept bringing you along.
Yeah.
And what happened to change the way that you felt?
So what happened is, then another lady offered to look at the Bible with me, this time just the two of us, so like on a one-to-one basis. And I remember we met over quite a few weeks. And when we came to the end of our meetings, I was given a question to answer. And the question went like this. It said, if you were to die and you went to heaven and you met God at the gate of heaven, why should he allow you, into heaven? And I remember thinking at that point that I couldn't say that there was anything good I had done that should be the reason why I should be allowed into heaven. And at that point, I knew that the only answer I could give was Jesus and his death on the cross. I saw I was a sinner, and I started to understand what was happening when Jesus died on the cross. I understood that he died to forgive so that I could have my sins forgiven. And I remember that day, thinking, it's not, that I have killed someone. I'm not a murderer, but I have sinned against God. And I went home that day, and I had a quiet time where I prayed and I asked God to forgive my sins and to help me to follow him from that day. And he has, yeah.
Wonderful. And I know that was, I think, 6 years ago in 2014.
Yes.
Has life been different since then, since you've become a Christian?
Yeah, life is different because I realized that, I was living for myself, enjoying all the good things that God has given me in this life while ignoring Him. And so from that time henceforth, I started arranging my life around God. So I would have my time to read the Bible, my time to pray to God, because I came to know that's how I was to enjoy my relationship with Him. And I also remember then, and even up to now, I would be so excited about church on Sunday, such that, at that time when the Bible is being explained, if somebody was sitting next to me and maybe they're not paying attention, I would be tempted to say to them, come on, listen, what he's saying is so wonderful. What is being, taught is so wonderful. I don't want you to miss out. Yeah, so those are some of the things I remember.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And has it changed your relationships with other people, maybe with people who are not yet Christians? Has it changed your relationships with them?
Yeah, it has, because I remember, especially because as I've already pointed out, born in Kenya, so my parents and family being back there, both my parents are not there anymore, but about 3 years ago, I received a phone call that my father was ill and it was terminal. And my first reaction was not to maybe jump on the plane and go and see him. But I remember at that point, just, praying and asking God that I just want my dad to be trusting in Jesus, really wanting him to have an opportunity to hear the gospel for himself. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I remember well. And the other thing I can say is, some of my friends, they didn't really like it because a lot changed about me, about my life. So maybe we couldn't do the same things we used to do together. I couldn't make the same time to see them. So along the way, I have lost some friends, or we have grown apart. Yeah.
And so earlier on, you were saying that you were wanting God to fix your problems at a really low time in your life. You were wanting Him to sort out your problems for you. Has He done that? Has He sorted out your problems?
So in one sense, no, because, I'm still single. I'm not married. I don't own my own home, and I don't have like a lot of money. But I know that He has sorted out the most serious problem that I had, the problem of sin, having my sins forgiven. That's the best thing that has happened to me. So I'm content with that, even though things have not turned out. Maybe some of the things have not turned out maybe the way I would I would like. I know that I can still keep going, even when things are not so, good, especially maybe even in times as this, the times we are in right now. So I'm content.
Yeah. Wonderful. And Nancy, all the way through what you've been saying, it's been clear that the Bible is what has been changing you. And so I'd love to finish by asking you to share with us your favorite Bible verse. And I hope it will appear now on your screen.
Yeah.
And Nancy, I'd love you to read the verse and tell us why it is that this is such a precious verse to you.
I love this verse very much because it's one of the verses I remember reading 6 years ago. And it's Jesus speaking. These are His words. And when I read them, I knew He was speaking to me then. So you're listening, you who is listening to me tonight, I want to say to you, it's like Jesus is speaking to you. And this is what He's saying. Jesus said to him, so Jesus is saying to you, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And this is from the Bible, the book of John 14, verse 6. So in this verse, Jesus is saying something very profound. He's saying, I'm it. I am the real deal. He's saying, I'm the way to heaven. I, Jesus, am the source of all truth. And I am the life. And if you don't know me, you don't have life. Now, and even in the future, when your life here on earth comes to an end, there's no hope for you. Because he says, without me, Jesus, can you see at the bottom, it says, no one comes to the Father except through me. He says, if you don't know me, you cannot know my Father who is in heaven. You cannot come to me. But I want to tell you tonight that I have some good news for you. I want to tell you that you can know Jesus for yourself, because Jesus has revealed himself to us through his word, the Bible. And if you open it and read it, he will let you know him for yourself, like he did for me those 6 years ago.
Wonderful. Well, Nancy, thank you so much for being willing to share with us. And it's been very thought-provoking, all that you've said. As we finish, I want to say I hope that maybe for some of us listening tonight, it's made you think about your own story, and perhaps made you think that maybe you too would like to look at the message of the Bible for yourself. And can I say, I think now is a really great time to do that. And we want to make it as easy as possible for you to look at the Bible in the comfort of your own home. And so a few weeks ago, we actually made a series of short videos called Christianity Explained. And each video is about 5 minutes long, and it looks at one core truth of the Christian message. And so if you would like to be sent the first video of that series, then all you need to do is one of two things. Either send an email to me or to the person who invited you here tonight, just saying, please send me the video, and I'd be really happy to send it to you. My email is charlotte@lionsdown.org, and I'm going to put that in the chat now so that you can see how it's spelt.